So continuing sharing my book with you, or my booklet introducing the runes, this video is about how to do a rune reading. So in Norse mythology, three Norns weave the threads of fate: Urd, Verdandi and Skuld. A simple way to understand them is through the image of a well. Urd is the water in the well, everything that has already happened, shaping your present reality. Verdandi is the surface tension, the living present moment, full of potential, always becoming. Skuld is the water vapour rising from the surface, the future not yet formed, shaped by the choices being made right now. A 3-rune reading maps beautifully into this. With the first rune representing the past, Urd, what has already shaped this situation, the seeds already planted. The second rune, present, Verdandi, the most important rune. This is where you have the power to act, use it for wise guidance. Third rune, future, Skuld, where things are heading. If you do not like what you see, return to the first 2 runes. Understand what you can change. It will change your future. How to read each rune. So I have included in the booklet some 2 example rune readings, but it makes more sense for me to demonstrate one live. So my rune cards are available from my website, but obviously you can use any rune set or deck you like. And as I've already said, you can, in previous videos, you can even just mark on bits of paper or little wooden discs with a Sharpie. You don't need a beautifully crafted deck. What you need is the wisdom to read it. So this is a triple rune deck. So I have put together 3 of my rune card sets. This means that a rune can show up for the past, the present, and even the future. And yes, I've done a few rune readings where I've had 3 runes. So as it's a rune deck, I am shuffling. Obviously, if you have a bag of runes, you might be pulling them out. Do whatever you need to do to get into that slightly altered state of consciousness. I like to shuffle and cut. Obviously, I am working with a deck. I'm very comfortable with cards, so it suits me, but you really don't need to. So the first rune, and I haven't asked a particular question. For me, I often find that runes work better with the bigger picture, the story arc of your life, if you like. But of course, you could ask about the story arc of money, relationship, work, career. You can be specific if you choose to. So my first rune represents the past. So what I've suggested is look at the rune first. Before researching anything, let your intuitive self speak. What does it say to you right now? That personal meaning is valid. So when I look at this, and of course I have got the image behind it, but in this moment, when I look at this, it feels like someone walking. It feels like almost like we've seen the Monty Python, John Cleese sketch with the Minister of Silly Walks. When I look at this, I can really see the leg lifting to follow the journey through. So I feel like the essence of movement or walking. Then bring any knowledge you may already have from modern culture, tarot, or the Elder Futhark, and notice what feels relevant, or simply notice what you don't know yet. Well, when I think about this rune, the rune is Rye, the deity is Hell, but I often think about taking the hard path. And I think in the past, my path has been hard, but sometimes I've chosen to make it harder. And I am learning to sit with that. Only then look deeper. The rune poem, associated deities, keywords and meanings. And so in my booklet, we have here the Old Norse poem, plenty of information. We have the sound, the deity, a plant. We have keywords. rest, journey, honesty, personal strength, integrity, death and equally birth, isolation, rejection, thriving in a situation not of your own choice. My favourite thought on hell is that she stood up to Odin and won. But I am aware that perhaps I've been striving beyond the point where I needed to. And maybe the advice is to let that go. So now we pick a rune for the present moment. This is the Verdandi rune. And I always read this as advice. So when I look at this, that clear, one simple way forward, the North Star or the Pole Star shining bright, having a clear direction. To me, both of these seem to be about movement. What do I know about this rune? I know it's about truth. I know it's about having an indomitable spirit, about doing what needs to be right. But maybe I can move away from thinking it has to be hard. Just a subtle shift. Again, just flicking to the place in my book. So we have Tyr, truth, justice, fairness, warrior, deception, rigidity. For me, this idea of fairness, that perhaps in the past I have taken on burdens that weren't necessarily mine, almost to prove something to myself. And then the card for the future. Now, for me, when we're working with the Norns, the future is unformed. I always think that the best way to translate skuld is consequences. Classically, we might translate her name skuld as debt, but now we have very negative connotations with debt, and I don't think it's meant to be negative. It is, what is the future that you are weaving based on the choices you've already made? What are the consequences, both good and bad? Well, I'm happy with that. The rune is Jord. The sound is R. If I follow my own advice, which can be quite a useful thing to do sometimes, look at the rune first. Well, it definitely feels like growth. It feels like someone is pushing through the difficult times and coming up into a time of ease. Knowledge that I may already have. Well, I associate Jord with the crone. I associate hell with the maiden, the warrior, I've got to fight, I've got to prove. The crone, I have already proved it. I've got nothing left to prove. That really sits with me. Finding in the book. Interesting that it's holly. That makes me think that I might want to plant a holly bush. I do have holly in the garden, but much more kind of in the wilderness at the back. I don't have any sort of beautiful holly plants where I can see them. This definitely shouts out to me. The world needs more wild women living in harmony with natural cycles. I definitely have lost my connection maybe with the moon. I am trying to live more in tune with the seasons. It's the height of summer as I'm recording this. I'm trying to camp more. I'm trying to do less work and get out more. We've definitely got links with abundance and harvest. From death and decay comes life. I feel like I am at a transition in my life, and I'm moving from having to strive and stay clear-minded and focused, coming into a time of more ease. So I have included a couple of sample readings, and to help people read the book, I've included a glossary, just one page, just to help people understand my perceptions of the words. Because the problem with language is what I believe I'm expressing may not be what you understand in a word. So I've tried to explain some of the sort of the words that I've used. Jotun, Often translated as giants, though that can be misleading, the Jotun are ancient primal beings, older than the gods themselves. They are shapeshifters deeply connected with the land, ice, fire, and the wild forces of nature. For me, Jord, the last rune I pulled, is definitely a Jotun. Not evil, simply of a different order. Many of the gods have Jotun blood, and some of the most fascinating figures in Norse mythology, Loki, Skarði, Heimdall, sit on that blurred edge between Jotun and Aesir. Vanir, an older group of deities connected with nature, fertility, magic, and the cycles of life. The Vanir feel to me like a memory of an earlier relationship between humans and the natural world. Before the drive to dominate and control, Freya and Njord there's a full stop there. Before the drive to dominate and control. Freya and Njord are Vanir. Their family structures feel more fluid, their magic more instinctive. Aesir, the primary Norse gods, including Odin, Thor, Tyr and Frigg. Warrior gods, seekers of knowledge and control, shapers of the world. The myths as we have them are largely their story told from their perspective, worth remembering. The Bifrost Bridge, the rainbow bridge connecting the world of humans, Midgard, with Asgard, home of the gods, guarded by Heimdall, who watches for any threat to the divine realm. Ragnarok, the ending of this cycle of the world, not simply destruction, but transformation. The old order falls so that something new can emerge. Several gods survive and a new world rises. I find it more useful to think of Ragnarok as inevitable change rather than apocalypse. Yggdrasil, the great world tree. An ash whose roots and branches connect all 9 worlds of Norse cosmology. In its axis mundi, the centre point of everything, Odin hung upon it for 9 days and 9 nights. It's very interesting. What tree Yggdrasil is, I think, changes depending upon what cycle of the gods you're looking at. I believe there is an older cycle where Ul was the All-Father and the world tree was an ash. I believe there was a cycle where Heimdall was the All-Father and the beech tree was the world tree. So I feel that the ash tree and Odin is the point where the oral traditions were written down. And so that is what we have preserved. So just something I wanted to share, because when I wrote the book, of course, there was no way I could put all of the information into the booklet. And this is a booklet rather than a book. I do have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of more in-depth writings on the runes, which I will be intending to edit and collate when life allows, but not in the height of summer, because I'm trying to be a little bit more Jord, living with the cycles of nature, and perhaps allowing myself the freedom to do what I want when I want it.